Happy Thursday, Striver. I thought I'd share with you another personal development topic. And I like to take on once in a while topics that you don't hear a lot about in personal growth or wellness, or certainly this modern world. And hopefully today is one of those topics for you. I'd like to talk about how privacy is peace. You know, we live in such a world where we have all been conditioned that we're supposed to share everything. You know, put every moment, every dish, every kid, everything we got online and just reveal it all, because you know what? That's courageous vulnerability. And when we do it, supposedly it helps people feel a greater connection with us. And perhaps that is true. But I've always found that there is a balance, and that the balance comes in boundaries. Knowing what to share with who and when and where and why is one of the master arts of living a good life. I bring this up because I was talking with one of my high performance clients today, and she was really struggling with this topic. You know, she's got a big family, lots of people want to know all her business, and she runs a big company. Everyone, you know, is expected to have these, you know, close connections with her, and she's supposed to be this great leader where, you know, she keeps it down home and family-like. And at the same time, sometimes she doesn't feel like she has any peace because everyone knows her stories and everyone knows this member of her family and everyone knows what she's doing in her business because it's a big company, and, you know, she's the type of person who's, you know, covers of magazines or, you know, running big companies. And so it just gets frustrating. And the irony is, you know, today in the modern world, there's, you know, two generations now that said one of their ultimate ambitions in life was to be famous. And we've certainly all been culturally conditioned to that with social media. We're supposed to get the likes and the fans and the followers. And, you know, a lot of people don't estimate the reality that when you become famous, you lose a lot of your privacy. You know, it's a weird thing to have, you know, people out your door, people out your house, people following you around town, people filming you when you go into your business place, people, you know, running up to you in, you know, in the airport or in business settings. And, you know, it might sound glamorous, but I can share from firsthand experience, both my personal life and a lot of the clients I've worked with, that at some point it does break a boundary. And at some point it's not fun anymore. In fact, you've heard a lot of people talk about fame being the ultimate cage, where it's something you wanted, and yet now you're trapped in your own successes, your own ego, and your own expectations that everyone has of you as they're all looking into your life 24/7. But I think most of us on a real daily life, you know, those who aren't famous or gracing the covers of magazines or television, we still have to protect our peace, as my main man Trent Shelton always says. And that piece has a lot to do with privacy. And so a couple thoughts. Number one, don't feel compelled. You have to share everything with every member of your family, with every member of your team, with every one of your friends. It's okay to keep information close. It's okay to have thoughts, feelings, desires, and dreams that not everybody gets to have in their ear. In fact, sometimes you know the people around you who you have to be guarded with because they don't keep your confidence. Or when you share things with them, they just hit you up with tons of negativity all the time. And being more open with them sometimes can become more of an introduction or a gateway to discouragement or negativity or judgment. And I think that's an important, you know, lesson, is that we don't have to share everything with everybody. I've got people in my life who know much more about me than others. And that's not because not everyone is worthy or great or awesome. It's that at the same time, you can only keep so many people as a close network of friends or team members or family. And sometimes you have to be just choosy with your time. Sometimes not everyone gets to come over to your house. Sometimes not everyone is invited to your workplace. Sometimes not everybody gets to review all of your work or all of your drafts before it comes out. I've personally released books out into the world. You know, I've written 6 books now, and sometimes I release a book out and Here comes a high school or college friend. How come you didn't let me know the book was coming out before it came out? And they're all upset they didn't get a book in advance. And I thought, oh my gosh, you do the best as you can, but not everybody gets the early edition, the open door, the early notice. We're all human. And sometimes privacy being peace isn't just about keeping things close to the vest. It's about time management, isn't it? You don't always have the time to tell everybody everything. In fact, I really believe the people who do that end up in so many long conversations, so many conversations of justification, so many conversations that go nowhere, that all of a sudden they don't have time for their dream, their life, or their family. In that way, privacy can be a superpower of time management. I think that's pretty deep. Second idea I'd love to share with you is that you've got to be okay not always speaking up in social situations. I remember my first corporate job. I was from Montana, and I moved down to San Francisco, California, big city. And I was, a pretty private person coming from Montana. And in the Bay Area, it was a lot different. It was a lot more open communication. And where I was in this big, tall building downtown, and there was probably about 20 of us in this big room, and we were all starting at the company at the same time. And everyone was just going around sharing all of these stories. And I felt compelled to share as well because everyone else was sharing. And I noticed a pattern. It took me about 2 years to notice a pattern, but I felt like I always had to force myself to speak up, because that's being participative. That's being assertive. That's being part of the group. But that wasn't necessarily my style. I just felt like I had to. And so we have to find our authentic expression. Find when we want to speak up, not for ego, when we want to speak up not just to belong, but when we want to speak up because we genuinely have something we feel like sharing that will connect us with others or add value or deepen a relationship or help. But not every single idea that goes through our head has to be spoken out loud. I wish we could tell a few generations that on social media. Because when you think of all the vitriol and the hate on a Twitter, as an example, it's that people just feel compelled that they got to voice up their opinion right now, right there in the comments, and tweet a reply for no real reason, but just because they have to put their voice out into the ether. I think it's okay not to speak up and have to share everything at every moment with everybody. Third, I think it's important to always have boundaries with family and friends about what's most important to you. This one strikes close to home for people, and I know it's a sensitive topic, but maybe you've had a family member before who just could not keep your secrets, was not loyal, would overshare and make you feel uncomfortable. And I think it's always good practice for those closest to us, our real family, our real friends, to make sure that we keep boundaries and that we know who to speak to, which comes back to my first point here. I think this is the one that causes the most conflict in people's lives, that their family and their friends, a boundary gets broken because something is shared that shouldn't have been shared, that now gets out and causes a lot of hurt or a lot of pain, a lot of frustration. And I hate when that happens. I know you do too. And so you have to learn who to share with. And always remember, as Maya Angelou taught, when someone does something, the first time, believe them. Forgive me if I didn't get that quote exactly right, but you know how the reality is a lot of folks, you continue to share with and they continue to break your confidence and you hope that they're going to change. And maybe someday they will, but you can't be in charge of everyone's change. You can only be in charge of your own life, your own boundaries, your own privacy. Choose wisely. I love to end with the thought of now flipping that coin, that it's on each of us too to keep boundaries for those that we love, to keep their confidence, to protect their peace, to recognize everything they share with us doesn't have to be shared with other people in a big, long gossip train of drama. I've always believed that by keeping confidence of others and keeping some information close to vest and allowing other people to have that too, it actually creates deeper vulnerability. Because isn't it true that when you know people will keep your word and keep their word with you, that somehow there's a deeper level of trust? Not a lot of people earn that. Be aware of those who do, be aware of those who break it, and always make sure you set your boundaries just so that you can have some peace. I really think that this might be a year. It's good to look out and think of, where is the drama in my life? Who do I have drama with on a recurring basis? And then think about the communication patterns there. Is there oversharing that's happening? Or is there mistrust that's happening? Are certain people not keeping the confidence that they should? These things aren't judgmental conversations to have, but they are insights to have. These are things that are helpful to living a quality of life. I mentioned my client at the beginning, and the conversation ultimately ended in a realization that the person had to take inventory, take stock of who was going to be in their corner and in their close inner circle at their company and in their family and in their friendships and their acquaintances. Not everybody gets to be in that inner circle. But when you develop that inner circle and you know that you genuinely have trust and privacy in that inner circle, those folks tend to be your real supporters. Those folks tend to be your closest friends. Those folks tend to be with you on a lifelong journey of growth together. I hope you enjoyed today's topic. If you did, maybe you'll hop into your journal today and capture who's in your inner circle. What happened in the past that has taught you about keeping privacy, who you should keep it with, who you should make sure you avoid. What lessons have you learned on this topic today? I know when I bring these things up, sometimes they're uncomfortable, but I think it's also powerful. Sometimes journaling about who belongs in your inner circle and who does not reaffirms what you already know inside. It's kind of funny how typing or tapping it out in your GrowthDay journal can help you gain greater self-awareness or even recognition of things you already know. But once you put it down, right? Once you type it in and you hit save and enter, it's almost like, oh, right, that's true for me. It's not just a reflection now, it's a decision now. A lot of people think journaling is just about self-reflection. And I always tell people, oh, journaling is just about as much of breakthroughs and realizations and awareness as it is venting, but also as it is commitment, decisions to oneself. The more you write down a decision or an action or a behavior or a thought that you want to have, the more you tap that in, type that in, and hit save over and over and over and over again, the more it becomes a living truth, a living document of who you really are, can be, or are building into. And that is one reason I will please encourage you all the time. Make sure you're doing a lot of journaling in your GrowthDay journal. If you ever open it up, you don't know what to type, just smash that button that says growth prompts, and we'll give you a little prompt, something to think about and write about in your personal development. Or maybe you listen to these daily fires and then you go into your journal and you just reflect on the topics that I am sharing with you here, because my job, of course, in these daily fires is just to introduce a new personal development topic. But you can go into your journal, capture your learnings, capture your decisions, and every single day that you do that, you realize that every day is a great day to grow.